Loading here. Welcome, everybody.
I like the microgravity being simulated by Mission Commander Trevino here.
Dr. Miller, how are you?
I'm great, thanks.
The
How
delay
are
is
you
only
guys? How's the whole crew? How was your time on Mars, Ben?
It's good. We're back. We're in orbit. We're looking forward to our firing our retro thrusters, slowing down, and skipping off the atmosphere. We're heading to Jupiter.
Commander, I don't believe that was part of the mission plan.
So only about 4 years away, Terry.
I think that might be divorce papers right after I tell that story.
I think the mission plan was Jezero Crater, and then all of a sudden it ended up as Jamestown, and now they're going to Jupiter. What the heck? Just rogue crew.
Okay, you gotta protect my nails. So, not getting it.
Right. Do you want me to get it?
Yep. Yeah, we're ready. Good. The lobby is open.
The thing that I like best about this system
It is a little high,
is
but
the way that we can see all the different perspectives from the crew. The suits in one view, the process of donning that Sarah's initiating at the moment, the help of Keith and Terry on the other side. It's a really nice shot of the harness system that Keith's been working on, that Sarah's wearing.
Yeah, so that harness is designed to redistribute the load from the shoulders more so to the torso.
Yes, it's been a really effective way of allowing this to be more mobile, more comfortable, and fit a much wider range of body heights and types. It's been great.
So I just wanted to take a couple seconds for the group to give a formal introduction to this live stream, as well as everybody that's here with us today. So what you see as far as what we're sharing is a view from the University of North Dakota campus.
Do you want me to try?
We have had this crew living in the house for almost 2 weeks while conducting EVA, extravehicular activity, using the spacesuits, which is the NDX-2AT. So North Dakota Analog Trainer, North Dakota Experimental Suit 2 Analog Trainer. And so what they're going to do today is they're going to don the suit, be able to take us through a full EVA from donning, which is
in the suit and the foot,
to doffing. So right now in the upper right hand, well, sorry, not upper right, the upper middle, you see Mission Specialist Guthrie going through the donning process.
you don't know?
To
probably hard to tell without weight on it.
North Dakota 2XAT, is that correct?
You put your foot down?
Yep, the NDX-2AT. So the North Dakota Experimental 2 Analog Trainer. So it's a lower fidelity suit that takes ambient air, pumps it in from the outside, which doesn't require an onboard or carryable portable life support system. So perfect for these types of studies where folks are going outside, and the worry really isn't the PLIS or the ECLAS system, but it's rather the task, the operations that they're doing. It still provides about 1 psi over atmospheric in terms of pressure. So technically a pressure garment of sorts.
Just a few introductions. So myself, my name is Scott Van Hoy. I'm a graduate student at the APUS, and I'm in the Space Studies program for Aerospace Science. And I'm also the program manager of the APUS Analog Research Group, which is the group that is conducting this mission at the University of North Dakota. Also with us, you just met Travis Nelson. So Travis is a PhD student and also an instructor.
So is your toe in there? It looks like it's in there. Yep.
Laboratory. And then we also have Dr. Kristen with us today, who
You're almost there, Sarah.
is the Analog Research Group, as well as the faculty advisor for the AIAA, as well as WSTEM, and an associate professor at the university. So the three of us, between us and as well as asking the crew questions, this is here for
So
you
just
guys. So if you have any
Are you in there?
just to give you guys an update on what we're working on,
has a quick update for us.
How's that feel?
we are something different. Is that Sarah's size 6
Okay.
shoe fits in the boot, which is a size 12. So we're working on getting that through the liner. And so that takes a little extra energy. That's what we're working on here in microgravity.
Almost there. See? Right there.
So if anybody has any questions throughout the live stream today, feel free to ask between the three of us and also the 4 crew members at ILMA. We're going to be able to answer.
Yeah, I was trying to do this.
We'll definitely look it up and get back to you.
Oh. Reach in. Okay. It's right here. I see it. Sarah, is that better on your right foot?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Sarah, put it on your left.
And also, just so everybody knows, I'm going to be serving as kind of the gateway in between the crew. So I'm going to stay unmuted for a lot of the time, so that way you guys can talk directly to them, the crew, via kind of my computer. So it's a little bit of get Google Meets and Zoom to collaborate. And then also I'm controlling the mute for the crew as well, so that way they don't hear all the commentary. So if you do have a question, let us know, like, hey, I've got a question. I'll make sure that I am unmuted everywhere I need to be. So that way then you can ask the crew directly what your question is and they can answer it for you.
Sarah, how's your
So I can
right
cinch
foot?
you are, sir. So you are standing on the liner, but I think I can cinch the.
Okay. Did you find the spot?
I don't think I'm gonna get through. I think my best bet is just to make this work.
Do you want me to take a stab one more time?
Sure.
So it's right here. And
Yeah, I think so. But it's actually caught like really high up.
yeah, it is. I see.
I think I'm short of taking it completely out. I think our best bet is to just make
They do.
like cinch the boot down so it's like at least gonna stay on the foot. I don't know.
I'm not very close to
So we have a question in the chat, which is what is Heather trying to do? And I think that question is actually asking what is Sarah trying to do?
He's like,
Currently donning the suit. So Sarah, which is currently right here, which is kind of leaning in the back of the suit. So what she's currently doing is donning the NDX2.
Be rated, please.
So the way this is designed with a suit port. So this is actually connected to the bulkhead
you have
of,
to pull a foot out.
and then this is actually the
Sarah, is that going to be okay?
We can
of the
tighten
spacesuit.
it down.
So she's going to be getting into the back. They're going to be working on feeding in her legs, which is what you can see right here in the upper left-hand side. They're working on feeding her legs in,
As far down as we can, make sure.
which is a little bit.
And cinch this part down so it actually like holds.
And then she's working on getting in the suit and getting ready for
So
the.
you have to know the liner, but it should be
Putting on one of these suits is a little more complicated than putting on a normal piece of clothing. You're getting a firsthand view of the process, and watching the crew who will be staying behind as mission control for the EVA to help their teammates and ensure that they have a solid fit before they leave the safety of the habitat.
One thing to kind of point out is that you see up here at the top left. So the wall that these are attached to, the wall in the background, is actually right here on the top of this screen in the upper middle. So these two is actually just the front side of the wall and the back side of the wall. So when you see, for example, Mission Specialist Lojek taking in right here, this is actually him. Right here, you can kind of start seeing him get in just from the other side of the wall. Right now, Sarah and Lex are both getting in suit 1 and suit 2 in order to conduct the unit.
That's good. Left is good.
Copy. Try that. Okay.
The other screens that you see going on right now is the bottom center screen and the top right screen are actually cell phones that are placed inside of the helmets. And then the bottom left, kind of see up here,
There you go. Thanks, Jared.
top left, there's a phone mounted to a strap on the face. So that's the feed directly from the suit itself. So we have multiple angles to look at in order for to see the full angle of the live stream today. And what's cool is that this is actually a study that they're conducting because before all these cell phones were put into place for this communications event, they've actually been using this setup for normal communications during EVAs. What that means is that the team, the particular activity, is the crew that is inside the habitat during the EVA. They're using that stream in order to have live video communication and real-time communication.
That's good. That's good. That'll be adequate.
What that does, it allows where you don't have to rely on
Thank you.
communications, which is often delayed and sometimes difficult to work with different kind of boxes and communication. So we've been testing real-time communication and the IDH during their EVAs. So we're kind of just being patched into the normal operations for this, which is kind of cool.
Comms check.
Oh, hang on.
So Jim has a question about who designed the habitat. It's a great question. Dr. Pablo De Leon is the director of the UND Human Spaceflight Lab. And he really is the driver behind everything you see here today. The habitat has been about a 10+ year effort in terms of design, development, assembly, and ultimately the 12 analog missions that we've done to date since 2013. So the better answer to that is students. This was at least 90% of everything you see here today was designed through CAD all the way to final assembly and done by students. So it's a great way to get some hands-on work before our graduate students go out into industry. And if you are interested, I'll just drop a link that you could check out later after if you're more interested in the habitat.
Where can you take this out? Take it out and then take it out of that.
The process is wrapping up here. You can see that the suits have disengaged from the wall port. You can get a feel for how those inside the suit close-up cameras of crewman Lex and Sarah are going to be working when they're out in the field.
Yep, got it. My nose itches.
Looks like EV1 is good to go.
I can hear you.
How do you want this? Front, side?
Left shoulder. Under the.
Whenever you're ready to go forward, I can't get it on until you're okay. Hang tight. 3, 2, 1. We'll need to tighten that maybe. Let you make that call.
If you can get it off my left neck, just a little. Thank you.
Good there?
Yes.
All right. There's a battery. What? Battery's in. Okay.
Are you sure?
See how long it lasts. Go fast. Yeah, that's not even. Let's try to see what the other one does.
The cameras inside the suits, which allow us to see the astronaut faces. They're not only fun for us, but they serve an important purpose because they allow the IVA team back at the habitat to keep an eye on how the astronauts are doing. If anyone were to be overheating or in distress, they'd be able to pick up those early signs. So they're scientifically useful as well as fun for these sorts of EVA experiences.
Absolutely, and a welcome addition, as we haven't had this before. So for the past 2 and now 3 broadcasted EVAs, something that we'll look to continue in the future.
I'll be fine.
Sure. Right on.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll
IVA 2 or EVA 2, IVA, comms check.
EVA 2, loud and clear.
Have you same
EVA 1 loud and clear.
EVA 1 IVA, have you loud and clear. How many?
I know some of you are probably thinking, cell networks on Mars, like, are you going to do some works? So this is kind of something they threw together on this mission with the stuff that they are So this is definitely like a Mark 1 type of with English what they had. However, the crew is looking into how would we do this on Mars, and is looking at mobile ad hoc networks as well as mesh networks. And that's something the military is actually currently doing, where there are radios where every single radio becomes a node in a network. And when communications, especially over line of sight communications and
Degressing now.
towers become a big topic for the moon and Mars, this is something that the customer match into not just between EVA and IVA, but between bases on the moon and Mars as well. So this is kind of a test of what a full ad hoc network payload would be on the moon.
So right now the analog astronauts are fully suited up. They're egressing the habitat right now. They're going on medical EVA number 5. So to this point, we've done an EVA, 5 medical EVAs. The first one was just kind of a reconnaissance EVA. First one was just kind of like a preparatory one, just to get an initial understanding of the equipment and what we're using. And then the next 3 EVAs were each of the crew members kind of rotating through and getting some understanding of the equipment and getting input from each of the crew members. And then finally, this is EVA, medical EVA number 5. Not really something that was part of the initial medical plan, but we're just going to kind of continue, take some of the lessons learned that we got, or some of the feedback and lessons learned we got from each of the members, and continue with that. Press. The 2 crew members that we have are Mission Specialist Sarah Guthrie and Mission Specialist Alexa Lojek. Each of the analog astronauts has a portable communication device inside their helmet, and as well as on the front of the EVA suit.
So in the screens on the left-hand side, you're starting to be able to see some of the equipment that they'll be testing out today, the chair and the sled, as well as our resident
I
dummy
believe
astronaut.
this is the 10th total EVA that we've done in the 11 days that we've been here. The temperatures have progressively gotten hotter, so a little sunny out there. How's it feel out there, Sarah?
A little toasty.
Right now, Lex is setting up a GoPro camera. We've been using like tripod GoPros to give us feedback.
That's Sarah. Sarah.
For debrief purposes.
Watch out for the dog. No, look at me. Watch out for the dog poop. There's a space dog that made a mess.
Yeah, best interface works so far. Good.
We didn't have any problems with her. Let's deal with it today.
So I literally just took the strap around from the boot and I just tied it around her heel. So the boot so she's still stepping on the liner, but like the boot is held to her foot. She's like, "Is the boot so far?" I was like, "All right."
We got a space photographer out here watching us.
Yeah, that drone was like eye level when you open the door.
Really? It's pretty neat.
Quick plug for the University of North Dakota, although I'm not like currently a student there, but they're talking about drone operations in the vicinity of the University of North
Well, I
Dakota.
can get to it, but if I change this,
Like
I lose
UAS
feed.
program there. So if you're interested in anything aviation, space,
I think I have the flyer.
Do you find that particularly
Thanks
hard
for that,
to
Scott.
stand, Lex, with the gloves?
Yes.
Space.edu is our website.
Just trying to make sure code is secure. So being that these gloves are big and bulky, that definitely makes it a lot harder to do. And I can imagine with the 4.5 PSI that they're pushing in the suits on the station. And I don't remember what the Apollo ones were. All right, well.
Is that how you want to pull it? You have a strap
I guess
over
we're
here.
drone
You're gonna
famous.
be dragging.
Thanks.
That drone's getting in our faces.
All right, well, one arm, right arm. It's not bad on flat ground.
There you go.
I'm just trying to keep that centered.
Just
So,
be cautious about walking backwards since you can't see anything behind you.
yeah, you're absolutely right. My mistake. Well, in another world too, I would pan this out, but not right now. Because I'm going to get on those 2 straps here in a moment. Cricket. There's a cricket hopping around. Yesterday when we did this was better.
As you kind of mentioned earlier, there's been 2
Trying to watch out for the space dog poop.
that the crew's been working on. One of them is
Can't believe that happened.
astronaut rescue. So that's what they're working on today. They're working on, in the event of worst case scenario in the future on the Moon or Mars, if there was an incapacitated astronaut, how would you actually get them back safely into the pressurized
Can I try it with the 2 handles? What?
Yeah, so what I want to do, what we did yesterday, when I got it around my front,
So the crew has been using a dummy as well as a few different types
Just
of
gotta get this one done.
chairs, and different methods to see what is actually possible in a
You should be able
wild
to pull
energy.
the end.
Say again?
You don't think you could just pull the end?
And just to fully introduce our IVA team today, so in the top middle you have Keith Pierce, which is currently
Okay,
on
I see what
screen,
you're doing.
and then also Commander Terry Trevino is also part of the IVA team today. And what's super interesting is that both of the IVA members today have done big mountain climbing, so they're both mountaineers. So they've actually taken a lot of their experience with mountaineering and brought them into
Yeah,
the
you almost got it, I think.
rescue EVA
Look
scenario,
at a view.
where not only are they testing the type of sled or the type of chair or the rescue procedures in the
It's
operations,
warm today.
but they're looking at the best way to actually implement those as far as things as little as what knot to use. Can you tie the knot that you want to use to belay possibly like belay somebody up a hill if you needed to in a rescue situation? So it's kind of funny how we kind of take for granted some of the mobility that we have here on Earth for rescue scenarios when you may not be able to use those same procedures when you get into like a bulky suit that the dexterity may not be as good on.
Do you guys hear Scott and Travis talking?
So we've had you guys on mute, so that way you don't hear some of our commentary, but we've not had any.
Oh, no problem. Okay, go ahead.
No questions yet.
Oh, no questions there. Okay.
But Sarah, if you wouldn't mind explaining kind of what you guys are working on right now, I'm sure they'd love to hear more about it from you directly instead of hearing us talk.
Okay, sure. So, as I already said, hi everyone, I'm Mission Specialist Sarah Guthrie. I'm actually the principal investigator for this particular research study. So, what we're doing here at ILMA is contingency EVA operations. So basically, if we're on the lunar surface and we have an emergency situation, what is the best way to get that person back to a safe place? So what we're testing out is basically suit interface. The NDX-1 suits that ILMA is letting us use is a pretty close replica to the EVA suits and the EMU suits that are being used by NASA now. And so as part of the concept of operations summary for the Artemis Phase 1 for lunar surface activities, it talks about contingency EVA suit interface. So we know that emergencies can happen. We don't exactly have any set methodologies or equipment or procedures in place. So these are the things that we're testing. So as you can see, these gloves, pretty thick, somewhat cumbersome, and has limited dexterity. You see that where our field of vision, is kind of impaired. We have our life support that's on our back, so that kind of limits our range of motion. And then being able to do things like sit down and stand up and basically lift. So if we were using the NASA EVA suits, and here on Earth, they weigh about 300 pounds. So you stick about 150, 200 pound person in there, you're dealing with 450, 500 pounds of weight. So what does that mean on the moon? Well, it's roughly about 82 pounds, that you're conflicting with trying to maneuver in 1/6 gravity. So your center of weight is already kind of off. You're dealing with varying gravity issues and then definitely terrain issues. So with that being said, when you perform any type of rescue, you want to make sure that you keep the person that you're rescuing, in our case, Kurt, stable and safe. And so right now we're kind of looking for suit interface with this medical sled device on, can we get the person into the sled? What are the challenges doing that? Can we get the buckles strapped? What are the challenges doing that? Right now we're fighting with this strap that seems to be in a bunch of knots. And these are things that are, seconds that can mean the difference between life and death. So what we want to be able to do is test these methods under the safety of an analog mission, and then be able to provide recommendations for design and equipment to say, hey, we've tested these things in the field. These are, the limitations that we've had. These are the considerations you should make, to the greater space community in adopting some of these methodologies and devices. So there was originally, this was a 3-part study with 3 separate devices. One of them just didn't work out. That's something that happens with all science projects. You can have a really good idea and it just doesn't work out. So we're kind of reduced down to 2. My hypothesis was that the medical sled would outperform all the other devices. So we've used the all-terrain transport chair, and then we have the medical sled. So some of the design features with the sled and the chair, for consideration is the sled is lightweight. It rolls up, it can be stowed, it can be unrolled and then used, and then you can drag someone. Challenges with that is being able to lift someone in a very large spacesuit. Are you going to be able to get them through the terrain? Dealing with things like the strap and the buckles. So maybe have really large buckles, have that carabiner strapped to a hook right onto the suit. So all you have to do is throw them in there, button them up, and then clip them to yourself, and then you can take off. The chair, it's stowable, it compacts down, it's lightweight. You can put someone in the upright position and not have them laying down. So maybe that's something that you do when someone is maybe just kind of suffering from fatigue, but they're not necessarily completely incapacitated and unresponsive. So again, these are things that we test out under the safety of an analog mission, and trying to perfect these form and functions, and then give these things hopefully to NASA or any other space community who may be looking to do lunar missions. So happy to answer any questions on that.
Does anybody have any questions directly for the crew?
Can you hear
Thank you,
me?
Sarah. That was great.
Yeah, Carlos, go ahead. I should be able to hear you.
Yeah, I can hear.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, hi, Miss Miller. Hello. Or Miss Guthrie, sorry. Hello?
Yeah, Carlos, we can hear you. Thanks for being here.
I did quite.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a question or a comment?
Well, no, I was actually watching the whole video. I had a few questions beginning about the. I thought the crew was two of the members were getting out of the capsule, maybe out into the EVA, I didn't quite get what was going on when the 2 members at the beginning were getting out of this window and touching the front and back wall or something like that. The instructions were giving. I didn't get that. Also, I think Terry Trevino was well, I thought that he was carrying a suit around the module, or what was he really doing there? I didn't get the whole thing. And also at the end, by seeing some of the EVA procedures, I don't quite get what's going on. I mean, like I had terrible audio all over video all along, and I couldn't quite hear. I'm sorry.
IVA, can you repeat?
Those 2 questions there at the beginning, they were getting out the window, and at the end, Mr. Trevino seemed to be carrying a suit around. So what were they really doing there on those 2 questions? Hello?
So the suit that Terry was carrying was Kurt, who is the basic incapacitated astronaut, or the dummy that you see here in the sled being pulled by our EVA crew members. Your first question was about the airlock and the wall, and that's just basically the interior of what we call the EVA module. It has 2 suit ports that house the suits, as well as a workshop area. And you were just looking at the dividing wall between the airlock and the rest of that module.
Okay, so right when he gets out that window, that's when he's ready to maybe go out into the EVA yet, or does he have to do one more step before that? What does he have to do after he gets out of that the airlock?
Yep, great job. So, or great question. So yeah, the suit port mechanisms that we saw are kind of those holes in the wall that the suit connects to. From there, they have about an 8x6 airlock that they then open the external door, and then they're free to translate and egress outside.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Okay, so and Trevino is just carrying an incapacitated astronaut down to the capsule. Back again.
Please.
So I believe they were at that point they were translating Kurt, the incapacitated astronaut, either in or out of the hab. But yep, they'll bring him back inside. Oh, and there's a good shot of him there.
Yeah, these are great questions, Carlos. So basically what you're seeing today are some field exercises to test the sled and the chair as emergency rescue procedures. And we're using Kurt, we're putting Kurt in them to try out some of the procedures to see how easy it is to maneuver in the suits with the gloves and kind of optimized procedures.
Right. Ms. Guthrie was mentioning about the are we in Jupiter or are we supposed to be in the moon? The moon. Well, she did mention the 1/6 gravity there, so that's the moon. So are we supposed to be in Jupiter? I thought I did hear something about we're in Jupiter or something, and maybe I did.
We were just teasing about being on Jupiter. We're not on Jupiter. We're definitely on the moon.
Okay.
Yeah, Jupiter was just a joke by the crew commander. He was just having some fun, joking around, saying that they're just going to go to Jupiter next. So they're definitely simulating the moon for the rescue scenario.
Oh, yeah.
So being that we are on the moon and that we're simulating lunar
knowing
gravity,
that
and
we might just fly through Jupiter's diameter. Of course. Sorry.
said earlier that right now the suits are on the ISS and the suits that were on the moon are about 250, 300 pounds, right? So if you add an astronaut, say a large man, 5'10", 200 pounds, that's another 200 pounds on the Earth. But on the moon, because that total weight added together is about 500 pounds, that breaks it down to about 80 to 85 pounds. Kurt right now is how much, Sarah?
Sure. So
he weighs about 30 pounds.
About 30 pounds. So it's still not a perfect analog, being that Kurt is only about 30 pounds. On top of that, we weren't able to design like a pack for him and make him a little thicker and wider. But that's something we talked about doing next time. Do you want me to push you again?
Do what?
Do you want me to push you again?
Push me again? Yeah, well, just to add to what Lex is saying, this is only our university's second analog here at ILMA, which will be, more missions to come. So, this is the first time we've ever performed this type of testing. So when our ILMA 3 mission happens in the fall, we can we'll make adjustments and refine that, and then they can do more testing. So like you said, right now Kurt isn't like the specific weight he probably should be to be on the moon, but what we didn't want to do is not knowing how we would react to the suits and perform in them, we didn't want to add any undue stress to the participant in this case. So we kind of reduced the weight down to a safer level, and then we can iron out some of those issues. And we already see we have quite a few challenges and struggles dealing with 30 pounds. So we definitely don't want to go ahead and start out with the full 82-pound scenario, because we probably wouldn't likely be able to perform the tests at all. So you kind of start small, and then you kind of gradually build to that, and you weed out the problems and you refine your testing, so you have a lot more solid science to produce.
On top of that, right now, so one of the studies that Mission Specialist Keith Pierce came up with during the initial couple days of the EVA was, Keith, if you want to jump in, basically a pack to take the weight off of the shoulders of the astronaut, because these EVA suits right now, for example, this is resting completely on my shoulders. It's extremely uncomfortable, and it's actually really hard to move around in. Mission Specialist Guthrie, I almost said petty officer, that's funny. Mission Specialist Guthrie has the pack on, and it actually makes it easier for her to move around. I'll let Keith jump in and do his thing.
Yeah, Keith, you can talk about the adaptive components to the.
So right now, Sarah's wearing it's just a hiking pack, and what I did was I just strapped the shoulders of the suit to the shoulders that are built into the suit. Just strapped them to the backpack portion of the hiking pack. So the load of that suit right now on Sarah feels just like you're wearing just a hiking pack. So it does a couple things. Obviously, it distributes the load more evenly. It also makes the suit a little bit more controllable. Like you, since you can actually maneuver the suit not just from your shoulders but also from your hips, you can actually manipulate what the suit does a little bit better as well. Another thing that it does for us is it makes the suit a little bit more universal, because you just need to fit the harness to the person. You don't need to fit the entire suit to the person. So that's a kind of an added benefit that that we've
that's not going to work
from it as well. So it does a couple things for us.
Yeah. Sorry, Keith.
Yeah, so right now I just try to sit myself in the chair. Worked okay yesterday. Today the ground's a little soft, so it's not working out super good. But, it may look kind of dumb, but all data is good data, even if it looks a little silly. What we do is we learn some great things, like tires are too small. Probably need bigger tires. Probably need taller handles. So these are just off-the-shelf products that we're working with. So when we have a better concept of what we're doing, maybe we start engineering. We're going to go ahead and load Kurt back up in the sled and start bringing him back in.
Sarah, to go along with what you just mentioned for off-the-shelf products, one of the questions in the chat was, is the EV sled strictly designed for the moon?
Can you repeat?
Is the EV sled strictly designed for the moon?
So this medical sled, yes, is an off-the-shelf product that you can buy from a website. I actually got mine from eBay because it was used and it was a little cheaper. They run from anywhere from about $400 to $1,700, depending on what you're looking for. Ideally for this, if I had all the money in the world, I would have gotten the tactical military one, because it has a few extra features that I'd like to test. But this is just a basic medical sled that you can buy from basically, you can type in med sled in Google and buy it from there. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, if I can elaborate on that as well. A lot of what our projects are doing is they're, at least with the harness and or the pack design that I'm working with, and then these different medical assistive devices, they're really just to prove concepts, right? So, conceptually, is something like this even something that we would want to pursue? There's no sense in optimizing a chair if it's not something you're ever going to use. So you don't necessarily want to create a design solution for something that shouldn't exist.
Question for you guys is, people volunteer to be the EV dummy for an hour or two instead of volunteering to be a analog astronaut?
So that's a great question. Because this is actually still considered a human study, because we have participants wearing the suits, there's something called an IRB that you need, an institutional review board. You could do that. I think from a risk standpoint, it's something you probably really, really want to sit down and think about if you want to do that. Because again, as Keith was saying, these are just proof of concept ideas. And since we've never tried this before, we'd really want to make sure that we had this perfected before we actually used a human participant in the sled. because we would never want to cause any harm or injury to that person, you know, accidentally, because we hadn't thought the procedures through or didn't have any, you know, SOPs on how to deal with that. So yes, to the other part of that question, if you were asking if anyone can volunteer to be an analog astronaut, 100%. We are all volunteers. We're all graduate students with American Military University, which is part of APUS, and definitely get in contact with Scott if you're part of that system. If you're part of UND, get in touch with Travis, and they can definitely hook you up. Hey.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
I just wanted to show really quick that I have a picture up on the screen of pretty much the exact same medical sled in an alpine environment. So these sleds are designed to be used for wilderness rescue or military rescue situations. And then we're just taking that to prove the concept for a moon mission and with analysts. So kind of what Sarah was saying with, and Keith was saying, as far as using current products that are in use for rescue situations and extreme environments, taking that to see maybe what needs to be adjusted for a space environment.
Yeah, this is.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Is his legs weighing 30 pounds, or the suit weighs 30 pounds?
The suit weighs about 28 pounds, and Kurt weighs about 30 pounds.
So yeah, he's 70 pounds.
We're working the numbers.
Yeah, it's nice that that weight is representative of what someone may actually be like to pull on the moon, turning fast.
So,
Considering
so Travis,
that,
doing the math
how
here,
much does this weigh here on Earth? Probably like here we go with the metric system and the empirical English system. Anyways, but it weighs about well, 6 more here, I guess. But he's, and what about the shoulders? What was the problem with the shoulders?
Maybe you can answer this.
One,
what was the problem with these shoulders?
Didn't have that open acetabulum there, or that movement.
Well, the problem was just all the weight was on the shoulders. That's the first problem. Second problem was the width of the shoulders in the suit is fixed. Like, there's only one place, so there's only one specific body type that would fit perfectly. You know, everybody else is either too narrow or too wide. So we're just trying to come up with a solution that allows us to kind of tailor it. You know, one, take away off the shoulders, and two, size the harness specifically to the person.
Right. So you do have full rotation of the shoulders. Is that what you were?
Yes, sir.
Press. All right. We have a key. We have the key back in here. Keys in. All right. Keys in. Airlock compressed.
Hang on. Let me move stuff.
Door is locked. All right. Good. Ready. Coming in.
Keith, do you mind coming and grabbing the sled and Kurt, please?
The next question in the chat, I'm just going to ask for a little bit of elaboration on it. The question is, when I was in the Army and performed moving an injured soldier, we had a card saying what the injury was. Can the EVA
You want to move the phone so they can see us?
is for the dummy. So are you asking if the suit itself is smart enough to identify the injury, or are you asking can the astronaut identify the injury by talking to the person or by doing an evaluation?
That's it. Thanks, sir.
Like a card similar to what you might do in the Army for that. So maybe just elaborate on the question a little bit.
Okay, I guess if they're not talking, I'll talk. So I've been through TCCC. I've been through combat medical training and stuff. So yeah, there's a couple of things, right? When you're in the field and someone has, say, you know, a bullet wound, you're going to see some obvious evidences right there on the uniform, right?
Shit.
Do you need me to stop?
I gotta fix the left.
Yeah, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. So you're going to see some obvious signs of injury, right? There's going to be bleeding. Maybe the person can talk to you, things like that. When you're wearing a spacesuit, a lot of those indicators are hidden, right? But some of the things that you're going to have as far as injuries that are different from the battlefield that you're going to have on the lunar surface is things like radiation exposure, radiation fatigue. You're going to have just overall fatigue. You could have lack of oxygen. Those types of things, and so that's the type of incapacitation we're talking about. We're talking about people that you're not going to be able to see physical indicators because the conditions are completely different at that point. You're not going to have typically a bullet wound on the moon. So it is possible. Potentially, people could have limb injuries, but you're also dealing with pressurized suits. The rigidity is definitely there. People could fall down. There is potential that people could suffer from head injuries, from smacking their head from the inside of the helmet. If that happened, you would potentially see swelling and bleeding. And those are easy, you know, indicators to identify. But some of the things that NASA is looking for are known factors, like I said, radiation exposure and fatigue. You know, maybe their oxygen or their CO2 scrubbers aren't working properly. And then it's incredibly tiring to work in 1/6 gravity. So people just maybe just generally tired, they just can't do it anymore. And their body's under a lot of physical stress. So in that, we just want to make sure, you know, we can communicate and then, you know, immobilize and then transport them to safety as soon as possible. And again, we're trying to do that in seconds, right? When people could be potentially kilometers away from the habitat.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Did that answer your question? It's a great response.
Thanks. We can just leave my shoe in there for right now.
As Sarah comes out of the suit, you'll get a good look at the harness system that we've been describing.
Can you put the chair
up
under
in
me?
that middle panel on the top.
You want help getting out?
He's trying to put the chair under me. Okay, ready? Am I pushing off of you? Ready? Okay, Keith, can you give me a boost? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Well, that's not good. It wasn't secure. That's not good.
Great job, everyone.
Okay,
Yeah, sorry about the suit travel.
Ready for now?
Crew's probably going to consolidate to one screen, and then they'll be able to answer a few questions here at the end as well.
That's the first time that's happened.
Gotta give it the tug.
All I did was push. I didn't. Oh, yeah. You're gonna like try to pull it off the wall. Okay. What do we got?
It's the first time.
They might be talking in this. I'm swearing too much.
So close and so far.
Did we lose Lex?
It's right there. I'm in there.
Sarah, how did the EVA go?
Pretty good. It's always good to test and retest. You know, yesterday was the first time we did it with Lex, so just being able to replicate that. Sometimes you find new things, and sometimes it's good to find no new things. That means, you know, we found what we're looking for. So I think it went pretty well, other than having the drone in our faces a couple of times up there. I was a little concerned. Yeah, I think it was another good rerun of that test.
Yeah, we basically did exactly the same as we did yesterday.
So one question we have in the chat is it hot in the suits?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Travis can speak to the suits a lot better than we can, but the suits kind of have like a rubber lining, you know, 'cause it's meant to be airtight. And so it really traps the body heat against you. There is a small fan pack in the back to try and circulate some air, but it doesn't quite make it, you know, through all the arms and legs. So I think Keith said it was like 110 degrees.
No, that was the heart rate.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, so the four mobility tests, we had a temperature sensor inside the suit. Temperature ranged from 22 Celsius all the way up to I think we peaked at maybe 25 point something, maybe 25.9 Celsius, so 29.6 maybe. So that's kind of the range we're dealing with. It's a little bit later in the morning. It's 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, so it's pretty sunny, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was getting above 26 Celsius in the suit this morning.
Yep,
What other
very
parameters
good.
are you guys measuring with the suits?
Other parameters in the suits. We have the temperature and CO2 buildup. That's pretty much it inside the suit, and then obviously our heart rates in the suits as well.
So no other questions at the time, but would you guys maybe talk a little bit more about your individual research and what you're doing inside the habitat when you're not doing EVAs?
Want to start?
Yeah, I'm working particularly on a plant module, and I'm trying to grow. I'm actually successfully grown it's a radish, and I've grown that in a cocoon of Martian regolith, a synthetic Martian regolith mixed with a little bit of a bio-grade type dirt. It's bonsai soil, to be honest with you. And I'm surrounding that with sphagnum moss. That's probably my most successful performance so far. I've done that several times, and as iterations have continued, I think I've finally got a watertight process that looks like it's going to work. And I think we can grow things on a synthetic Martian dirt. That's really what I'm doing. I'm also working on some other things, but I can't speak to those.
What?
So what I'm doing is using the Garmin's. I'm tracking stress via heart rate variability, and essentially what we're doing every hour, except when we're doing live streams, we're stopping for 5 minutes to just sit and breathe, essentially meditate, focus on the breath, and I'm hoping to see a reduction in stress at the time when we stop and over the long term. So far, it's been inconclusive, unfortunately, but that's okay. That's the way research is.
So I'm looking at 3 different things, kind of 3 different studies. First one is just a study to look at crew composition. So I'm looking at some human factors to see how different attributes, personality types, backgrounds of people and how they react to the habitat. Looking at doing some cognition tests, video logs, and we're going to do peer evaluations at the end. I'm also doing a study on habitat resources. So looking at how much food does a person actually need, looking at the weight of the food, looking at how much water I'm consuming, power usage, all of that. So what's the total human impact of an individual analog astronaut on the habitat's resources? And then the third thing is the load distribution within the suit. Looking at the hiking style load distribution from a hiking pack, and also looking at trekking poles and just kind of tweaking that and getting some data points on that.
Well, I kind of feel like we talked about mine. Mine is EVA based. So other than that, I'm subjected to a million surveys I have to take a day. So
100 how many questions?
200 something questions. We're tired of the surveys.
The surveys are wonderful.
And I want my plant back that they took away from me.
Yeah, in addition to the studies they're doing, I have some psychological surveys and also getting a little bit into physiology as well. So they answer over 200 questions a day and multiple psychological surveys. So I thank them so much because it's rough for them, I know, to be able to do those every day.
The sacrifices that we
It's
make
all
for
right.
science.
We like it. Exactly, Travis.
Maybe you guys could tell our audience why you were excited to be an analog astronaut, why you decided to come and live for 2 weeks in this habitat.
Well, I can say right now, I want to be on the surface of the moon as soon as possible. Jupiter's not really an option. Sorry, I was clearly joking about that. But I am really keen to take part in some lunar missions, and I think if I don't get selected out for age and health, then I feel like I'm capable and could contribute. So that's the number one reason I've committed to this, and we've got to be able to grow plants on other surfaces of other planets, so that's why I'm really interested in that as well.
For me, so I listed into the military, so I didn't come from a traditional pipeline that astronauts usually come from, like a military academy or a pilot or, having an engineering degree. But it doesn't mean I don't love space, and it doesn't mean I don't want to go to space, right? So what an analog gives me, which I'm eternally grateful for American Public University, it allows me to use the technical skills that I have gained during almost 20 years of service now and apply them directly to the space community. And hopefully the skills and the knowledge and the experience that I have can help us, continue to explore the solar system. So this is my way to turn my service to my country into my service to humanity and continue to contribute on. So that's why I like being part of an analog.
Sarah said exactly what I was thinking. I initially was going to be an officer. I dropped out of college and enlisted to try and take a different path towards that. But I'm eternally grateful for the experiences that I've had as an enlisted sailor. I'm in the Navy myself. The experience that we gain from on the enlisted side is a lot more, I would say in many respects, a lot more hands-on than in the officer side. And really, I'm eternally grateful to American Military University for this opportunity. And this has been mostly like a really fun experience. And I'm actually coming back in the fall. So, and Sarah's gonna be our commander at the Martian Research Station in the winter. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I definitely concur with the points about kind of taking military experience and just kind of past experiences and trying to contribute to the analog research community. But additionally, from a more personal standpoint, I'm definitely passionate about science, and I'm definitely passionate about like exploration and human performance. And I really feel like space exploration and these analogs really is the marriage of those two things. It's science technology married to human performance and exploration. So that's what really appeals to it from a personal standpoint.
I'd also like to say and personally thank you, Dr. Miller. You've been very supportive of us for this endeavor. Scott, similarly, and more importantly, taking the lead. And to Dean Welsh, we are very thankful. Thank you. Travis, too. Pablo?
I am but the janitor.
Sophie, Tarun, all the
Tyler.
team. Tyler. It's taken a team effort. I have to say the team is pretty large, and thank you all.
So we do have another question in the chat, even after the thank yous. So where can I get information on how to simulate Martian dirt? So Terry, I feel like that one's for you.
Yeah, I would not take that endeavor on individually. You can buy the simulant through Exolith Labs website. Just go to Exolith Lab or exolithsimulant.com, and you can pick that up. It's manufactured out of UCF, University of Central Florida. They have actually perfected, in my opinion, the processes and the mix. They also just came out with a Jezero crater mix, which Perseverance, when it took its scoop out and put it into its whatever device that is that analyzes the soil. I'm really sorry, we shouldn't call it soil because it's not soil yet, but the regolith. The reality is we know pretty much exactly what we're going to find on the surface of Mars at the Jezero crater, and I wouldn't try to copy that. I would definitely, and also wear a lot of protection. It's dangerous.
And I have one last request from the crew. If you guys can support, I know you guys have a really busy schedule today. Would it be possible to get a quick 3 to 5 minute overview or just quick tour of the habitat while we have everybody here with us? Because I know this is our last live event. So that might spark a few more questions.
Well, you can actually also.
We have the YouTube channel up and running, and there's a pretty thorough breakdown of that. I'm happy to do it now, and I don't know that we have the capacity on the battery.
Yes, we have 45%.
Yeah, we can do a walk around. We just didn't make our beds this morning. So.
Yeah,
Don't judge us.
I actually did make my bed.
I did not.
But,
we can do that.
I can fluff my sleeping bag real quick.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'll go make my bed. Jeremy, you can.
Let's start. You want to hold the device, and I'll hold it for you.
No, you be the tour guide, and he just follow.
Okay, cool.
So we've got hallways in between all modules. So we've got 1, 2, 3 modules that we are in and out of throughout the day as part of our scientific experiments. We have the crew module, crew command module, which is where Lex is actually standing at the Travis, I forget what you call that entryway there. So chime in.
The vestibule?
The
core
vestibule.
airlock.
If you want to come this way. Yeah, sorry, that's it, exactly. And pop in. Sorry about the smell in here. The spirulina as it decays.
It smells wonderful.
Is very powerful. Magnitude have an experiment here that I've been monitoring. Magnitude actually have experiments that have flown on ISS, and they have another one coming up, Magnitude 10.0. Things that I'm growing that I can show you are, so I took over from one of the Matthew and one of the other team members here, and I've started to kind of continue their melons. I'm using this to grow basil and radishes and arugula, and that's all here as well. I've got radishes here. You can see they've really come up. This is the regolith test that I'm using. I'm actually growing, these are potato-based polymers. And then you can see the sphagnum moss. And then inside where I put the seed, I put it actually inside of the Martian regolith mixed with a little botanics. And this is the plant module. If we had a lot of plants, there is a ton of space in here. We could really do some serious growth. Moving on. The hallways are brilliant because you can never see outside, but you can hear the space trains and the space highway. We can go down to the geo. This is the exit, primary exit in case of issues. We can get out this way really quickly. Sorry. Say something to me about that. Lights. Welcome to the geology module. We do microscopic work. We test our samples, our soil samples here. Over here, I do weights and measures. Here,
transcribing stress data. I have all the data immediately available, but I've had to transcribe it in an Excel spreadsheet, which is the only way to get it, and it is tedious, and it is something that I have to do, not that I want to do.
Just beyond Lex, too, there's a crew storage.
I didn't want to show that. That's in there. That's not our fault.
So this is medical bay, exercise facility. The medical bay itself is a fully functional medical work area. Kurt actually sleeps here at night. If there were any issues at all, we have a place where we can help people if there were. And then, of course, working out is very important. So all of us have taken, I think I've worked out every other day since I've been here. And you can see it's fully stocked, ready to go. Back to the hallway. Ties us all together. One of the things I thought about and have done is I've taken these outdoor LED lights, and I've installed them along the floor, and they can change colors. So as we are working at night, sometimes we've got these lit up so that we can really change the colors, change the attitude. I'm big in light. I think that's a huge thing. Coming into crew command module, and kind of see, oh my God, you did make it.
I tried to.
We have most of the branches represented. We got Air Force, Navy, Army,
America.
America.
Here we are. We spend quite a bit of time in here, which I appreciate and have. Cooking, simple. We've got a little oven, Lexus standing on there that we can work on. We do have cold storage there as well. Our command and control for our exterior comms is here. We have backup exterior comms as well. We actually have always on comms. The best part that I'm looking forward to tomorrow is coming this way. You want to come on in?
Yeah, I'll try to get down there.
And watch your step. And here we are. This is where we can come and we can actually get a good look outside. I haven't done this very much. It's a beautiful day. We can undock from the crew command module through that tunnel, and we can drive around. This rover is battery operated, and yeah, in case anything happens, we have comms. If anybody needs to exit in an emergency, boom, right there. One of the really cool things that University of North Dakota have come up with are the hanging suits. So we can actually ingress, egress into the suits, on and off, right here, if we need to. And when you really want to see what's going on 360, boom, you can get a view up there. Yeah. All right. Let's get to the link here. Ah. There you go.
Welcome back to the space station.
All right, bump your head.
It was just on the fabric.
Anything I missed, guys?
I think you
No.
got it.
All right.
I hung up.
Fantastic job.
Oh, it's here? Okay.
If you want to see our cool lights, you can turn this
Here
on.
we go.
Yeah.
There's our cool lights. You can kind of see the blue light over there. Leon's.
Our happy lights.
Yeah, we're not going to show you the bathroom. It's nothing to be.
Yeah, it's a mess.
I cleaned it.
It's clean, but it's here.
Anything else, Scott? Dr. Miller?
I don't have any more questions, but if anybody else who is in here has any last minute questions, now is the last time to be able to ask the crew before they get going with their day. So feel free to ask in the chat or unpause at this time.
Okay, I was just gonna add at the end here that I found interesting the regolith method of plant growing, and we'll look into that. That was very interesting. I don't know. I was thinking about the carbon dioxide a lot on Mars that could probably affect the terrain, but what would you guys think of that? I don't know. What kind of another would you find out there, or what kind of element containing? What kind of terrain contains elements like aluminum? I don't know. Maybe calcium. Do you guys have any idea of that? I thought Mr. Hoyt asked that question.
Yeah,
Perseverance,
Carlos, Perseverance has not really located any metals that we can use for forging any other types of, steel or anything like that. Perseverance hasn't done that. That typically would be a little further underneath where Perseverance can dig. But yeah, it's a good question. Our northern side is very common on the surface of Mars. There are a bunch of different minerals. If you get a chance, go on the Exolith Labs website. You can get a really good breakdown on the
I did get
crater.
that.
Yeah, check that out. You'll get a good look at all the different
You
elements.
said exolast. Sorry.
Yeah.
Exolast.com. Is that where
yeah, it's .com. It's not .edu. It's Exolith Labs, or just type it in the Google. It'll come right up.
Yeah.
It's EXOLITH Labs.
I dropped the links in the chat as well, Carlos, if you're interested. There's a few.
Yeah, good to know. It would help a lot to get a sample of that soil and maybe try to grow some plants to figure out which plants would do better, certain turgidities and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't know, because
there are a lot of
I don't know how
that.
much water you would find out there, and if it's simulated very well by the terrain to grow a plant there. But
yeah, and that's what Terry was saying is there's a lot of people working on that problem, right? So including Terry is working on it as we speak. So if you want to get involved and work on that, you can just join one of the current projects that we have going on, and then we'd love to have you on the team as far as getting more people involved with the APUS Analog Research Group and joining the projects that are already ongoing. So I just wanted to give the quick stick for the program. If anybody is interested in joining the APUS Analog Research Group, you can email us at apus.arg@gmail.com, and I'll throw that in the chat as well. And then we'll get you set up. Just in the email, let us know what you're interested in. And any field can be applicable for analog research. So whether you're interested in psychology or physiology or operations, botany, policy even, so whatever you're interested in, there's definitely a place for you in the analog community and the APUS Analog Research Group. So if you're interested, definitely reach out to us, and we can get you involved with the program.
Thank you, Mr. Hoy. Super interesting. The whole I had a hard time, but at the beginning there, understanding a little bit, I did get it. Thank you so much, everybody. It was such an awesome Eva and discussion there at the end. I loved it.
Great to hear, and thank you all for attending this morning, and thanks to our crew as they are great, and 2 days left, so good job everyone.
Thank you.
Cool. With that, looks like the crew is signed off. So thank you guys all for coming, and thank you for kind of sticking with us throughout the EVA and throughout the Habitat tour. And one more thing I wanted to push is they mentioned the YouTube channel. So they just started a YouTube channel, which all these recordings, including the previous ones, as well as program information, will be posted on. So to get there, it's APUS ARG Astro. Currently 13 subscribers, so we're still fairly new with the group. But they're posting tours, different EVAs, testing, these live streams, as well as some information about what it's like to be an analog astronaut as far as workouts, food, and packing lists. So feel free to check out the YouTube channel as well, and then that'll get you some more videos about what the crew is doing. So with that, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you, Dr. Miller, and then also Travis for helping with the commentary today. And with that, I will open the floor one last time before going for any more last-minute questions for Dr. Miller, Travis, or I. And then if not, we will call it a day and continue with our lovely weekend.
Thank you all so much for being here. Scott, do you have the YouTube URL to post real quick? People are asking for it. I know I can put in the chat that you basically search for APUS ARG Astro, as you can see on the screen there.
Yeah, I think if I just steal this link, it should take you there.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Yeah, please like and subscribe. But thank you all for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was a lot of fun, and thank you for coming out, and hope to hear from you guys in the future. So have a great day.
Bye everyone.
Bye everybody.
Great.
That was another very successful EVA. That was really fun.